taking a chance. Telling me to dance, taking a chance. Telling me to dance, taking a chance.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning to you and you and you and you out there this morning. So today it is another amazing day in the life of rising above everything that has held us down. Because guess what? Elevate, not tolerate means to rise above anything and everything that has held us down and has caused us to feel inadequate. And it's done so pretty messed up, right? But with you and I together, my friends, we're going to rise above all of those things because it's time for us to be empowered, embraced, and educated how to be elevated and not tolerated. So this morning, I want to come back. I told you we were bringing the shows back. Should I say the events, moments with Elevated Not Tolerated. We decided to come back. Well, let me put it this way. I didn't decide. God said it's time to go back into what gives us not only pleasure, but it also is a part of our purpose and our destiny of what we're doing here. And so, a lot of times people do different things. They have other methods that they truly believe in, and that's cool. But sometimes you got to go with what the flow. Sometimes you got to do it alone. You got to do it by yourself. You got to do it blind. You got to do it in so many different ways that I tell you that you wouldn't even sometimes believe behind the scenes. And so, but in order for us to move to that next level, we all need a place where we can call safe area, right? A safe place for us to be able to not only just believe in what we have. Is important to understand why we feel and how we feel and why we're going the ways that we're going. It's important that we understand that, y'all, because sometimes we get to the place where we just don't understand. We just don't feel like we're adequate enough to do what we want to do, right? We sometimes feel like being separated is more of the question. Sometimes we feel like relinquish it in other areas and other ways of doing some things. But can I be honest with you? The best way to do it is to have something that you can lean on, somebody or something that has already gone through that process, and all you need to do is just follow through, right? Because sometimes following through is the best part of waking up, right? A couple of years ago, we had a t-shirt that was designed and it said, the best part of waking up wasn't Folgers, baby, but it was your destiny. And so we're going to go back to that, because being the best part of who you are is more important than anything in this world. Being true to who you are is more important than anything to anybody else but you. It's important for you to understand how we have to be able to understand our true selves. Sometimes we don't do that, guys. Sometimes we are too busy trying our best to let somebody else know how we feel and this, that, and the third. And we're trying to, I thank God for Lisa Washington on last night. She was on the show. If y'all missed it, please go back out there and check it out. She gave us some good pointers last night, because sometimes we don't think about what we're saying. Sometimes we don't think about how the words are coming out of our mouth. But can I also tell you, sometimes you got to be careful how those actions come out as well, because actions do speak louder than words, guys. We've been saying that for centuries. People have been saying that over and over again, that, what you're looking at, what people, actions speak louder than words, because we take cliches and we say them all the time, but do we know the purpose of why they came from and how they got here? And one of those things is that we don't always set true goals and objectives for ourselves. And one of the things that is important to me as being a certified master life coach is that sometimes you got to go past that place of understanding. But the key is, do you know where that root is? Do you know where it came from? Do you actually know why you feel the way that you feel, right? Do you understand it, right? To a point that you can start developing some things, some true attributes for yourself, right? And so one of the things that I want to encourage everyone to do is learn how to set boundaries for yourself, right? We think boundaries about other people, keeping other people out. It's a gate that we keep other people out. When in actuality, setting boundaries is what's keeping you sane. It keeps you at peace. Because when you don't set realistic boundaries, what sometimes happens is that we begin to feel some kind of way when we're not getting the reactions that we want, right? So when you set effective boundaries from the beginning, then you already have an expectation of some things, right? Boundaries doesn't mean that it's bad. Boundaries means that it's good. Boundary gives direction. Boundary also allows us to understand why we do some of the things that we do, right? And so currently, in the positive self-building class, we're finishing up rebuilding self-worth. And one of those things that we talk about is effectively planning some things, effectively having some things in place, right? And this is where we as people have to understand how important that piece of boundary looks like. Right. So I want you to go down and I want you to tap into your inner you, because when we're talking in the positive self-building class, that's one thing that we talk about: going into the tap root, going into the deeper of the deeps, going to the root, going to the core. How many of you have stopped not going to the core of the situation? One thing that Lisa brought out in the conversation last night, that sometimes, that problem, that situation, it lies within us. If you're always the common denominator, maybe it's time to take a look at your own self. And that's one thing that I've learned to do. I'm learning, I'm practicing it even more as I get closer to my birthday. I'm thinking 61, I should be had this already caught up and understand, right? But at 61, I'm still developing, just like you. I'm still understanding some of the pitfalls of life, just like you. So you say, well, what makes you an expert? What makes me an expert is that I have decided to tap into that arena and say, I'm not going to stay stuck in the mud, right? Because when you get stuck in the mud is when you start having those mental things start happening. But that's one of the things that you don't want to start takes place. And that's the reason why we want to be able to understand it even more of how effective boundaries are and what those boundaries do and how they affect us on a different level. I want you to understand that it is time for us to set some realistic boundaries that we can actually achieve. Good morning, Mike. Thanks so much for joining. It's wonderful to have you in the house with us. If you could please care, share, and like this live so other people can join in with us on this morning. Mike, it's a great pleasure to have you with us on today. When I tell you that the effectiveness of planning and setting boundaries is important. One of the reasons why we came into the coaching industry was that because we wanted to help other people understand how important it is to move to that next level, right? Because sometimes when we don't move forward, we get stuck, right? And so one of the reasons why moving forward in the coaching industry for me is to help people get unstuck. And typically it's those people that have had some type of issues that have happened. I am not a trauma coach, but I'm going to tell you that sometimes the things that we deal with comes from our trauma, but it also means that we need to now have to learn how to redevelop who we are. That's why the personal development comes in. Because once you have gone through that process, once you have seen that issue, then you have to turn around and come back and you have to reinvent the wheel, the mental wheel of yourself, right? And one of the keys to doing that is building some boundaries. But I want to tell you about an event that's coming up on October the 30th, next Monday. On October the 30th at 7 o'clock, we are having our master class, and it's elevating and, unleashing and elevating our authentic self, right? We have to go to the authenticity of our own being. So I want to pop this up so that you have an opportunity to check that out. The registration is still open, but we want you to be a part. So don't miss it. Don't miss the event. Come on and be with us next Monday. So you can see that it is still available for you to go out there and register. We'll put that link here in the chat that you'll be able to see it, where you can go ahead and register today. There is a 3-packet way that you can join us at the masterclass. The first 2 packets are $35 a piece, and you can join us either on Monday night or the encore on Saturday at 12. So it's going to be October the 30th and November the 4th. October the 30th is at 7:30, and then on November the 4th it's going to be held at 12 p.m. It is an hour and a little bit and a half of a training session, a master class on that authentic, looking at ourselves, unleashing and understanding how to elevate that authentic self that lies within inside of us. Now, if you decide to take option three is our VIP package that comes with a couple of little goodies in there for you. The VIP package comes with an hour and a half of a coaching session with me, the one-on-one, nobody else involved but me and you. And it doesn't matter where you are right now in your journey. Everybody needs a coach. Everybody, look, guys, I'm gonna tell you this. There's a couple things that I say everybody needs. Everybody needs a life coach, a good one like me, and everybody needs a good therapist like the one I have, right? Because it's important that you understand where you are right now, where you're going. My excuse me, my therapist is an amazing young lady, and Dr. Simone says to me all the time, Victoria, you know, it's time to it's time to continue to step forward in what you believe in. Not everybody's going to be on your side. Not everybody's going to want to hear you. But at the end of the day, where you are right now is where you need to be going. See, this is the thing. Most of us are afraid, if you will, of moving forward when we don't have certain people, places, and things in our life with us. Can I be honest with you? Not everybody's gonna go with you anyway. And the other fact of the matter is, do you really want them to? Because at the end of the day, if something is holding you back from being the best person that you can be, then that's going to keep you from doing what you need to do in your life. And it's important that you understand that you are somebody and you need to continue to develop who you are. That link for the workshop is in there. You can click on that one link and it will show you the other options. But we are definitely pushing forward. For those of you that want to go step further in your journey, you can actually take that opportunity and book that VIP package and get that hour and a half coaching session with me by yourself, just me and you against the world. That's all it is. So let's talk about boundaries just a little bit this morning. I want to talk about it because I think it's important that we all understand it. We all comprehend it. We all know what it entails, right? So boundaries has been given like most words that when it, if you look at the dictionary, there's always an alternative of why a word was created, right? So boundaries has gotten sort of a bad connotation in our mouthpieces, if you will. That boundaries means you standoffish and you don't want people around you, and you don't know boundaries from a elevated, not tolerated standpoint is this. Boundaries are setting places of peace for us, right? Because when you set true boundaries, that's allowing yourself to have your peace. It's allowing to have your space. It's allowing you to see things clearly for yourself, right? When you set effective boundaries, that allows us to be able to grow into different avenues and different aspects, right? When you're setting true boundaries, it gives you the opportunity to see things on a different level, but it's also giving you the opportunity to, if you will, to control your environment, right? Now, my students are there on, they would tell you that my definition of control is that which you have overcome, right? So if you're setting effective boundaries, these are controlling things that you have overcome. And one of the things that we all have sometimes missed, how do I say, misappropriated or departmentalized in a different way is, why do we need them? Boundaries are important, but a part of being in boundaries is also having that place of a language, right? You set things in place at the beginning, so there's no confusion. There's no there's no confusion is the big thing, because most of us, if we don't see things one way, it's always, oh, that's not how it is. Can I be honest with you? We are all entitled to our opinions. As Lisa said last night on the show, we all are entitled to having been, speaking out what we believe in. Yes, we all have that right. But does it mean that it's always necessary, right? But when you set boundaries with individuals, when you set boundaries with people, you set the expectation of how the conversation can go. One of the key things that I think we're all missing in this season of our lives is understanding, what do you mean when you say what you say? But if you set effective boundaries, that's one way that you can actually educate the person that you're conversating with. There's some people that I conversate with, and I talk very highly with them, and we have a perfectly good dialogue with each other. They understand what I mean when I say this, and they understand what I mean when I say that. How many parents can say that sometimes the biggest issue that you are facing right now is the boundaries that you set with your children? One of the things that I'm learning is that, you can't always be the friend, you have to be the parent, right? And that doesn't always look good, right? But even now, when I think about us as individuals, have we sat down and mapped out what we want to receive from these relationships that we have? Now, coming up probably the end of November, you'll see the postcode for the next positive self-building class, which is building positive relationships, because there's a certain place that people belong in your life, right? And not every day we understand what that is. But if we understand what boundaries we set, then we know what people, places, or things are placed within that, right? What do you want to know about boundaries? I guess, we'll get into that. This is part one of this. So the first thing I want you to know about boundaries, that it's okay to have them. So pat yourself on the back and say, good job for setting them. That's the first thing. Why is it good? Because it gives you a place of peace. Just remember that. Boundaries gives you a place of peace. It allows you to have that place where you need to have in your life, right? And that's peace. That's the first thing that boundaries do. The second thing that boundaries do, it gives you the opportunity to evaluate who you are, right? When you're setting boundaries, it allows you to see who you are to yourself. This is a self-building place, right, y'all? We're not pointing fingers at everybody and anybody else. We're taking what we gave access to everybody to, and we're pulling it back for ourselves, right? So let's look at that. You have to understand that these boundaries that you're setting is for you. It's for to safeguard you. It is to help you. Now, once we get into steps 2 and 3, then parts 1, 2, and 3, then it'll make more sense to you. But right now, we're talking about what it's going to do for you. What is the impact of this setting boundaries going to do for you? right? So when you realize that it's for you and it's for your peace, then we have to begin the process of what does that look like? The most majority of the people that I deal with, or my target group, are those people that are stuck in an avenue that they don't want to get, that they have no way of getting out of, or they have been in a place that is, they seem to feel that life is passing them by. And that's usually typically at the age, if you haven't developed something that you want to do by the time you're 40, then you all automatically start thinking the time has ended. There's nothing left for you to do. What are you going to do next? I can't think about it. I don't know. I've been here in the same place for 20 years. I can't move any further. You have the empty nest syndrome. The kids are out of the house, or sometimes they're in the house and they still out of the house, if you get what I mean. Sometimes they can be still, renting a room, staying in a room downstairs or in the basement, but still, there's still an emptiness because there's no connection. Sometimes we're battling with what it could be, how it could be different if we had planned it differently. So at boundaries we are actually able to stop and take another look at that. Did we set the proper stage for everyone to understand where we are right now? Boundaries are yours. When you close the door in your room, like for me, when I close the door in my office, that typically means to my grandson, Nana's doing something, right? One thing he's learned at a very young age is when he sees Nana's door closed, Nana's working. Now, that also means that sometimes he can knock at the door and I may let him in because maybe I am working, but not to the extent that he can't be a part of it, right? So you have the capabilities of determining what your boundary lines look like, what your boundaries are going to say to someone else. It's up to you, right? But setting boundaries is going to be effective for you. Your days and nights will be less hectic if you have set the atmosphere of what you want. I teach my students this one technique. I've been doing this, for a few months now. I've been teaching the positive self building class for over 4 or 5 years, right? Just some people didn't know it was out there. But one of the techniques that I teach in the class is this. But more so, this last few months, we've really been diving into it. This is your space, guys. Anything that's here, right? This is you. Can nobody get in these walls unless you give permission? Everything outside of that is atmosphere. It can bounce to you, it can bounce off of you, but it doesn't penetrate what's on the inside of your space, right? We have to get to a place where we set the boundaries of what this space margin looks like, right? So, because sometimes if you allow the space to be wide, it has a whole lot of open areas that can be filled with negativity and toxics, right? But if you limit the space, then it's closed in enough where you're focused on specifics. And that's the purpose of boundaries, to set ground rules and ground levels of space, how much you are allowing into your area. And sometimes that takes, shutting down a little bit, that takes closing in a little bit. So setting boundaries are important. Setting boundaries are something that we as people need to do, right? So in the next few days, we're going to be talking about how to set effective, positive boundaries. Positive boundaries that will leave you with feeling refreshed and also leave you with feeling that you have accomplished something, right? Boundaries that leave you feeling good about you. As we told you that there's a lot of things that are going on in the world that can prevent us from moving. A lot of that is because we haven't set the correct boundaries, right? I don't watch a lot of the news. You know why? Because if I did, I would get up into this place where I would be so bombarded about everything that I can't do anything about, right? There's some things you just got to do it what the old folks tell us. Just pray and leave it at the altar because that's all you have the capabilities of doing. Boundaries also help you set the place of where what you can focus on in a day's time, in a second time. Boundaries help you determine what you're going to allow to affect you on today. Mondays is typically my day of rest, if you will, right? Today is going to be a little work day only because Friday's my birthday and I'm shutting down after Wednesday. The only thing you may see is the live on this week. That's it. Because after Wednesday, I'm shutting it down. I think I'm entitled to a little R&R for myself, right? And that's what another thing that boundary does. It allows you to have a place of peace. It allows you to have a place of rest. It allows you to call the shots. The problem with most of us is that we're allowing people, places, and things around us to call the shots in our life, and we have no control over it. Can I be honest with you? Sometimes we need to pull that control back and put it in perspective. And how do we put it in an effective perspective? We do it by setting effective boundaries. If you're always entail with everything, but you never have time to sit down and say, look, I'm not pushing it anymore. I made that statement this morning. I'm not pushing anymore on certain things. If you need me, pick up the phone, set an appointment. We can handle it. But boundaries are going to keep us at a place where we can focus on who we are and where we're going. And my friend, can I tell you that again, to pat yourself on the back? Because it is okay. It is okay to say, you know what, this isn't working for me. This open door policy isn't working anymore. I got to close it because it's interfering with my growth. As I tell my students all the time, if it's not helping you grow, as hard as it may be, then it's time to let it go. Some things just does not make sense any longer, and it's time for you to move on. People, places, and things, my friends, and it doesn't matter where it's at, from the rooty to the tooty. Sometimes you have got to understand the importance of being able to let go. Setting effective boundaries will do that for you. It will put you in a place where you have time and opportunity to take care of you. Like I said, this week is going to be one of those weeks where I'm going to do some things a little bit different for myself. This is the thing. When you don't understand where you are right now, good morning, Deborah. Thanks for watching. When you don't understand where you are right now, setting boundaries will put you back in perspective, right? Putting your mind at ease will put you back into a place of peace. Right? One of the things that we're going to talk about at the masterclass is why being so in that place of authenticity helps you elevate to that next person, because it brings you to the real you. When you can effectively sit down and say, who I am, without feeling tied up, without feeling that you got to prove it to everybody. Prove it to yourself. Setting boundaries force you to prove who you are to yourself. Setting effective boundaries makes some things clear to you if you decide to do it. Boundaries are something that we all must gravitate to have a better lifestyle. Saying when I cut off something is when you cut it off. Saying that when it's enough, it is enough. What are your true boundaries and why do you need them for you now? I say to my people out there that it's time that you do something for yourself. Mike, I appreciate you so much. It is time. It's time for me. I've been waiting, and I think we all as individuals, and let me educate my new parents out there. Don't always anticipate that your kids are going to understand what your birthday means to you. Huh? Because they don't. There are certain times of the year that we all get all hooked up in. Oh, I got to celebrate Valentine's Day. I don't care about Valentine's Day that much because every day you should be showing me love. It shouldn't be that day only, huh? But there's sometimes, I'll tell anybody, I would prefer you to remember my birthday every year if you remember nothing else about me. Why? Because first of all, when I live, so I'm not gonna be an if because I got a lot more things to do. But when I make it to 61 on Friday, check it out. That means I've been around this planet 61 times and I have been successful to still be alive and kicking. That's an accomplishment by itself, right? So for me, if you don't remember nothing else, remember my birthday. Why? Because if I wasn't still here kicking it, I wouldn't be able to help you set some boundaries, baby. You'd be still sitting out there trying to figure it out by your own self when I've already developed a plan for you, right? Because the Bible says he knows the plans that he has for us, right? And this is the thing. He has plans for us to help other people to help set plans. So when I make it to Friday, I've made it 61 times around the planet. 61 times around the planet, and I can tell you that I've seen just about it all. I'm not going to tell you I've seen it all. I've seen just about it all. But it's time for even to set boundaries with that. Guess what? Last year was my 60th birthday, and I wanted a big surprise birthday party. Well, it didn't happen, right? So guess what? This year coming up, I'm going to celebrate every day. I'm going to find a weekend to have a party for something. And I don't mean you got to get down and, but you can have a celebration every day. My friend, Donnie got the beats, his song Celebrate. If we all the way up, if you haven't heard it, I'm going to play it for you just a little bit because it's important for us, right? It's important. It's important for us. Love you too, Deborah. It's important that we understand that it's time for us to keep on moving. Setting a boundary that I'm not going to be depressed on my birthday. Oh, the devil is a lie. That's a boundary right there. I shall not be depressed because of nobody else. Look, I don't even like that word, to be honest with you. But I'm not going to do it because of somebody else. I'm going to do it for me. See, when you set boundaries, when you set realistic boundaries, that lets the enemy know, you're not stopping me. Right? When you set realistic boundaries that some people will never understand, that means you are settling in for your peace. Setting boundaries means your peace is being activated. Let me say that again. Your boundaries is causing you to activate your peace. The reason why some of us don't have peace is because we haven't set no boundaries. We allow everybody to come in and out of our lives whenever they want to, but does it affect us? See, when you're setting boundaries for yourself, that lets everybody else know, look, I take peace over anything. I take the joy of the peace over everything. This is the reason why it's important that we set boundaries. Set boundaries. Set boundaries for your peace. It's important. It's going to make us move into a different level. It's time to jump out of this boat with this sinking. I feel like sometimes I've been in this boat so long, golly, Jesus. I don't even know how to swim, Mike. But guess what I do know? I know how to get pulled for a lifesaver. You know why? Because for a good portion of my life, I've been throwing out the lifesavers for everybody else and forgot that there's a boundary of how many times you can do that. Right? Sometimes we have to get to the forefront of our own discrepancies, why we feel the way that we feel. Why is the things that we're dealing with the reason why we feel the way we feel? Because we never set boundaries or to how we're going to be handled. One of the other things that we're going to talk about with boundaries is this: the language that you give to someone else to understand you. Language barriers is what causes people to lose their boundary their boundary levels, I want to say the boundary cards. When you draw that line, that white line in the center, you say, don't cross that line. You got to explain what that means, right? This is, Mike, you are so right. I'm starting this month. I'm going to celebrate my birthday every month of the year because guess what? I'm entitled to it. I worked hard for these 61 years when everybody else was looking on when you're doing everything for everybody else and you don't have time to even celebrate the real you. That is why it is important for next week at this master class. I want people to get to the real nitty gritty of being authentically yourself, that you can authentically hurt and still be okay. It's important. It's time for us to be better than where we are yesterday because the circumstances that kept us in bondage has to be broken. And how do we do that? We start with setting boundaries. We start with setting boundaries. You're not going to cause me to bleed tomorrow because I gave you the knife. But today I'm putting the boundary sticks back on it. You can't cross over this line without permission. Setting effective boundaries means that you're taking control of who you are and why you are. And more importantly, whose you are. Because if he gave you the power to go through it, there must be something on the other side that he needs you to accomplish. But setting boundaries will give you the opportunity to see it. The reason why some of us cannot stay focused is because we have allowed ourselves not to have a boundary. I posted something yesterday. I said, this is my schedule for this week. If you ain't already booked, I'm going to be nice, Mike and Deborah. If people need to be booking with me, you can book them with me. But baby, you better do it before Thursday at midnight because at Thursday at midnight, it's off. I'm not doing anything that's not on my schedule. Who I'm telling you, who is going to do it for you? It's time for us to start looking at some things, y'all. He brought me to this point in my life, Mike, that if nobody else, Mike, he brought me to this point. Can I be honest with you? There's some days, and this is one of those days, I woke up with a pounding headache. And this is the reason why it's pounding. Because I didn't set boundaries. When you don't set boundaries, you got to deal with the pain. Let me say that again for those people that are in the pulpit and around the corner store. If you don't set boundaries, you got to suffer the consequences. When you don't set boundaries, you have to set, you are the one dealing with the consequences. Deborah, don't you dance too much now and get in trouble. Dance, Deborah, dance, dance, dance. The song says, I want to dance like David danced. Just dance, Deborah. They'll get it. They'll catch it. This is the thing. When you don't set boundaries, you're the one suffering with the consequences. So I got to be, I'm not telling you something that I don't know. I didn't set boundaries, and that's why I woke up with the headache this morning, right? That's why it came for me instead of me coming for it. Come on now, Mike. Mike says that distractions come to detour your destiny, but deliverance is your true destination. You better say so, Mike, because guess what? I'm going to set boundaries that's going to propel me to do just that. Oversee the distractions, my friend. Oversee them. Because when you oversee them, you see them for what they are, people, places, and things. But when you set boundaries, you can overcome it and you can meet your destination, what God has prepared for you to have. It's time for us to stop trying to be it all for everybody, because everybody ain't going to be all for you. Let me just let me sound the alarm. Just because you're there for everybody doesn't mean everybody going to be there for you. It's time for you to set boundaries. It's time for you to set boundaries of how far you're going to take that thing. Hmm? Because I'm telling you, in this season, you got to understand. You got to understand when you are not looking out for you, you open up the boundary door and you say, let it come in. There used to be also a song, let it come in. Won't you let it come in? My dad was old fashioned. Open up your windows, heist up your doors, or open up your doors, heist up your. I don't know how it goes, but let it come in. They were talking about the spirit of God, though, right? They were talking about the positive come in, right? They weren't referring to the negativity. They were telling you that we have set boundaries, and now we can receive the gift of setting boundaries. So set some good boundaries. Tell yourself, hey, I deserve the best. And the only way I'm gonna have the best is I got to set the boundaries to get it. Right? At this point in the game, you gotta stop dealing with the hurt and start dealing with what caused the hurt so you don't repeat it the next time. The next year, the next year, the next event. Because sometimes we get into doing things and we don't see the good results. I see people and I'm like, at the end of the day, why are people not signing up for these classes? Why are they not signing up for the master class? And this is what I had to come to grips with. Not everybody wants to get unstuck. Most people don't want to stay stuck because that way they can have something they can complain about. But I promise you, Deborah, you hit the nail on the head. It will drain you if you let it. If you don't set a boundary, all the things outside of that will drain you. Right? It will cause you to have this acid reflux kind of emotion, right? That burning sensation on the inside. They just kind of it ain't God coming. You know what I'm saying? We always want to attach that to that statement, but sometimes it's the fire that's shut in my bones. Sometimes, Mike, it ain't got nothing to do with God. It is the toxics from other people that is inside. That's why you got to set boundaries so that you don't carry the toxics from somebody else's mistakes, the toxics from somebody else's neglect, the toxics from somebody else's rudeness. You have to set the precedence of what you're going to take. And the best way I can tell you to do that is to set boundaries. So, my friends, I need you to set some boundaries today. I'm going to ask y'all to do something that I asked you last week to do. And some of you did it, and I appreciate it. I want you to hashtag it's time to cut it off. It's time to cut it off. It's hashtag it's time. Well, I think I said hashtag it's time to cut it. Today I'm telling you it's time to cut it off. Cut it off and rebuild your boundaries. It's never too late to start. Can I be honest with you? It's never too late to start building positive boundaries. Because if you build them now, then the blessings will flow, the peace will flow. It's time to understand. It's understand. Y'all, I'm doing that deliberately. It's time to understand what the joy of having boundaries can bring you. It's time to understand it. You don't feel inadequate. You don't feel left out. You don't feel out of place. You feel what you feel, and that is at peace with yourself. Because sometimes being out of place is the best place that you need to be. Being out of place is the best place that you can be. I have wrestled with it. Thank you, Mike. I have wrestled with it over the years. Oh, I don't fit in. Until I started doing elevated, not tolerated, I thought I had to fit in. But even since doing elevated, not tolerated, guys, come here, let me let you in a secret. I learned that I still don't fit in, and it still sometimes bothers me. But when I take it away and set boundaries to it, I can tell you that there's some places that I don't care if I don't fit in. Because guess what? If I fit in, that means that I am pushing this round circle into this square peg, and I ain't got time. Because, baby, ain't nothing about me. Ask yourself. Ask yourself, are you like everybody else? Because I beg to differ. I think God created each one of us to be individual anyway. He had a plan for the individuality of all of us. It's us that got suckered into this. You got to live it this kind of way. You got to be this size, and you got to wear this type of makeup, and you got to wear your hair this kind of way, and you got to sing this type of song. Baby, you better dance and sing to your own song, because when you set boundaries for yourself, the real you will come out every time. The real you, the person that everybody wants to know. Because see, that's the reason why we're setting up the class. So, it's ironic to me that how many people can be in your life and still not know you. Best friends sometimes don't know you. They don't understand you. They don't even know who you really are. Why? Because the vision that you have is not what you really are. Setting boundaries and setting the proper language to people, places, and things will let people know the real, authentic you. I'm telling you, y'all need to come to this class on either next Monday or next Saturday. You need to come to this class because I'm gonna be so raw. Whoo! I'm telling you. I'm telling you, if you come to the master class, I'm going to be so raw that some of y'all Christian folks might not. I don't know, Mike. Some of the saints might can't come because I'm going to get real raw in that hour, in 20, 30, 40 minutes. Because it's important that you understand. Being the authentic you means that it's okay to be you. It's okay to be you. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be. Let me tell you something, and this I'm going to close with this because I don't went over my time. If you are perfect now, then what would it mean for you to leave a legacy? You have to keep working at it every day. You see, this is the thing. Most of us build up words and conditions based on somebody else's theology. There's only one theology that I worry about. There's only one theology that I care, that I try to meet. It's the theology of the Bible. Everything else is null and void. Deborah, that's the song. That's the song. Won't you let him come in? My dad used to sing all the time, play the guitar. I wish I could hear my dad do it now. But anywho, that's another world. But at the end of the day, won't you at least spend some time understanding how effective it is to be the authentic you? Come to the master class. Come on to the master class. I'm going to probably even make a crazy offer later on that probably my people are going to say, I can't believe you said that after you said you weren't going to do that no more. Check this out. I'm giving you 2 opportunities to come. You can come on Monday or you can come on Saturday. Monday or Saturday. Or you can come either one of those days and book an hour and a half session with me, 90 minutes for me and you just to talk about setting some real boundaries for your individual situation. Because what I'm giving here on the lives are basics. But what we do in behind doors, if you will, is more direct to our needs. I sat down last night after the live, my conversation with Lisa Washington last night, and I created a whole different set of boundary levels for myself, because you have to change those. It has to elevate. It has to change. But guys, I went past my time. I said I wasn't going to do that. Because time is money, money is time. And I got to make a whole lot of money before the end of the day. Yeah, that's being real. That's being realistic. But when we set those true boundaries and we set some real goals and objectives, then that's when things really do matter. Guys, it is always a pleasure to be with you all. Look for us tomorrow morning. We're probably going to do a 2-parter to catch all the people that have been reaching out to us and saying, hey, we remember when you went out at 7 o'clock. Well, that stopped when I got COVID, guys. When I had COVID a couple of years ago, that kind of changed things for when I do certain things now. But at the end of the day, we still going to set some real boundaries, some real life boundaries that's going to change our life, right? So join us tomorrow. We will be back probably about between 9 and 9:15. So go out there and tell people to start looking for us at 9:15. We're going to come back tomorrow, and who knows what we're going to talk about. It's Tuesday. We're going to take you back to some things on Tuesdays, right? Everybody wants to do Throwback Thursday. Why don't we take it back Tuesday? You can hashtag that, Take It Back Tuesday, tomorrow at 9. Hey, that sounds good. All right, guys, it's been my pleasure to be with you on this morning. Go out there and register for the master class. There are some other classes that are coming out. You want to be a coach? Well, this might be a good time for you to come to a call to action meeting where we discuss a few things about coaching and helping you set up for your next goal into being a life coach. We will be doing certifications. Elevated Not Tolerated will be offering a life certification course, life coaching certification course that you can take. You don't want to miss. It's going to be fun and it's going to be exciting, but you do have to do the criteria to get it together, right? All right, guys. So have a marvelous Monday. Keep it moving. Cut off what you got to cut off. And let's get ready to set some positive boundaries this week. Have a great day. We love you. And we always want you to be empowered, embraced, educated, to be elevated and not tolerated. We'll see you tomorrow at 9.